Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dr. T.S. Jhazaria, and as we are talking about systemic lupus erythematosus SLE from the rheumatology series, as we are already done with part 1 and part 2 where we discuss about the introduction, pathogenesis, pathology, and in part 2 we talk about the clinical manifestations. So now this is the part 3 and here we will talk about the diagnosis of SLE. So before we start, I'll request you all to subscribe the channel so that whenever I upload something new there, you will get a notification. The diagnosis of SLE is based on the clinical features and presence of autoantibodies in patient. Generally, we follow the SLIC criteria, a combination of 4 or more criteria with at least one in clinical and one in immunology category. If well documented at any time during the patient's history, then it's diagnostic for SLE. Also, ANA, the best screening test, is positive in more than 98% patients, but repeated negative tests suggest that SLE is less likely unless other autoantibodies are present. High titer of IgG antibodies to dsDNA and antibodies to the SM antigen both are specific for SLE. Also, presence of multiple antibodies without clinical symptoms should not be considered diagnostic for SLE, although such persons are at increased risk for SLE. So here in this table we will talk about the SLIC criteria, that is Systemic Lupus International Collaborating Clinics. And here we will talk about clinical and immunologic features. In clinical features, patients generally present with acute cutaneous lupus, chronic cutaneous lupus, oral and nasal ulcers, non-scarring alopecia, synovitis in 2 and more joints, serositis, renal manifestation like presence of urine, protein and RBC cast, neurological features like seizures and psychosis, hemolytic anemia, leukopenia, lymphopenia, and lastly thrombocytopenia. In immunological features, patients generally having high ANA concentration, high anti-dsDNA antibody concentration, presence of anti-Smith, anti-SM antibodies, and positive anti-phospholipid antibodies, low level of complement components, positive direct SCOOM test. So in this scenario, patient must have a total of 4 features with one and more clinical feature and one immunologic feature, or biopsy which is proven with lymph node with anti-dsDNA antibodies and ANA. If patient is fulfilling these criteria, then yes, of course he is having SLE and is diagnostic for SLE. Since it's not easy to memorize all the criteria of SLE, right? So you can memorize all these criteria with a beautiful mnemonic, that is SOAP Brain MD, which I also learned during my medicine lectures. So here S stands for serositis, that is pleuritis and pericarditis, O for oral ulcers, A for arthritis, P for photosensitivity, B for blood criteria, right? R for renal, A for ANA, I for immunologic, and N for neurologic like psyche and seizures. And lastly the MD, malar res, and D for discoid res. So with this we can memorize all the criteria. So after SLIC criteria, in this slide we will learn that how to approach the diagnosis of one SLE patient. So whenever one SLE patient comes to your clinic and is having the clinical and immunological features which are suggestive for SLE, we will ask for laboratory tests like ANA, CBC, platelet, and urine analysis. So now there are 3 possibilities. First, that all tests are normal, symptoms also subside, and patient less likely to have SLE. Second, that all tests are normal, but symptoms still persist. Okay, in that case we have to repeat the ANA test, and we can ask for some additional tests like anti-dsDNA and anti-Rho antibody test. So if all are negative, then patient less likely to have SLE. If some of these are positive, so put together the symptom complex and the lab examination. If patient having 4 and more criteria, then it's definite SLE. In the third possibility, when patient having any positive, but the criteria which are patient fulfilling are less than 4, then this is possible SLE. So in both the cases, we will treat the patient. So in this lecture till now we talked about the SLIC criteria and how to approach the diagnosis of an SLE patient. Now we will talk about some laboratory tests which we perform to establish and rule out the diagnosis, and also to follow the course of disease, and particularly to establish and to suggest that flare is occurring and there is organ damage is developing in the patient, and also to identify the adverse effects of therapies. So first we will talk about ANA, which is the most important test to detect SLE, and also positive in more than 95% patients, usually at the onset of symptoms. Immunofluorescent method is the most reliable than ELISA for ANA testing. Also ANA negative lupus exists but is rare, usually associated with other autoantibodies. dsDNA, It's specific for SLE, and the titers of dsDNA antibody vary over time and increases in levels with Herald flares, especially for vasculitis and nephritis, and associated with decrease in C3 and C4 complement components. Anti-Smith antibody. Like dsDNA, this is also specific for SLE and do not usually correlate with disease activity and clinical manifestations. Anti-phospholipid antibodies, which are not specific for SLE, and patients who are positive with anti-phospholipid antibodies are at increased risk for venous and arterial clotting, thrombocytopenia, and fetal loss. Also, the quantities of anti-phospholipid antibodies vary markedly over the period. So generally patients who are having like one and more clotting episodes or repeated fetal loss plus at least 2 positive tests for anti-phospholipid antibodies at least 12 weeks apart, then repeated testing is recommended. Now in this slide we will talk about anti-cardiolipin, anti-beta-2-glycoprotein and lupus anticoagulant. These are also type of anti-phospholipid antibodies. So for anti-cardiolipin, generally we perform ELISA, and patients with high titers of IgG, that is more than 40 international units, and also with greater number of different anti-phospholipid antibodies are at increased risk for episodes of clotting. In anti-beta-2-glycoprotein also we perform ELISA, and for lupus anticoagulant generally we perform dilute Russell Venom Viper test. And lastly, the anti-Rho and SSA, as we talk about this in Sjögren's syndromes also, so that indicates that patient is having the increased risk for neonatal lupus, Sickle syndrome, and subacute cutaneous lupus erythematosus. Women with childbearing potential and SLE should be screened for APS, that anti-phospholipid antibodies, and anti-Rho because both antibodies have the potential to cause fetal harm. So the standard tests for SLE diagnosis are CBC and urine analysis. And to see the progression of disease and success of therapy, we generally perform urine analysis, CBC, creatinine and albumin, and we also check for proteinuria and worsening of anemia. So this is all about diagnosis of SLE, right? And in part 4 we will talk about treatment, prevention, prognosis of SLE. So the video is already uploaded on the channel, so please go and watch there. And the request that don't forget to subscribe the channel for future videos. Thanks a lot.